Welcome to Keeping It Real. My name is Kevin Patton and I'm a therapist in Hackney. We may not have caused our problems, but we do have a responsibility to change things for the better. No one else can do it for us. Our emotions are regulated by the release of various chemicals in our brains, and we can activate these chemicals by doing various things. And we are going to focus on 4 chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So this is the dopamine molecule. Dopamine reinforces learning and behavior. We activate dopamine by remembering positive experiences and good things we've done. It's also activated by imagining that we're doing something nice. This is oxytocin. This is a hormone as well as that acts as a neurotransmitter. Oxytocin is activated by connection. We can get some oxytocin going by hugging someone for about 20 seconds. Mind you, it's got to be genuine. Acts of charity or generosity, or even just sending good thoughts to someone that we know. This is the scientific basis for the Buddhist loving kindness meditation or the Christian act of praying for someone. It really does make us feel better. Serotonin. Serotonin is activated by novelty and significance. Planning to do something fun or interesting, getting some anticipation going, looking forward to Christmas or the holiday, and then doing that thing will get some serotonin going. If you later think back to the thing you did and remember it, you are then going to get some dopamine too. Last but not least, endorphins. This is the one everyone's really heard of. Endorphins are activated by putting muscles under stress. Heavy cardiovascular exercise that gets you sweaty and out of breath will activate endorphins. Diaphragmatic breathing, also called pranayama, does this too. And there's something called the mammalian dive reflex that floods the body with endorphins. This involves tricking the brain into thinking that we've dived into ice cold water by rapidly cooling the body's thermostat, the trigeminal nerve in the face. You can contact me about that if you want some more details. I'll show you how that's done. So, how to bring this into the life that we're living? Well, dopamine. Visualization. You can do this by imagining a color that's filling you up with a really good feeling, or being out on a desert island somewhere, or floating in a warm sea. Reviewing your achievement. Remembering something that you've done, having a to-do list and then remembering in the day what you've done to tick off all your to-dos, or something you've done well, or a good time that you've had. Doing stuff that matters to you, doing stuff that fits in with your values, and, congratulating yourself about that, feeling good about that. That's dopamine. Flow activities. So we're going to be looking at flow activities in another video, but really it's doing things that are just challenging enough and just interesting enough to hook you in and get going. And of course, if the more significant these are, the more they link in with your values, the stronger the hit. Oxytocin, hugs, 20 seconds. Actually, any skin-on-skin contact. It doesn't even have to be with a person. Petting a dog or a cat, a pony or something. They bring animals into old people's homes these days, and it gives the participants, when they're petting them, gives them a bit of a nice feeling, a bit of oxytocin, really. Massage, again, skin-on-skin contact, stroking. Volunteering, doing something for other people, something that connects you to something bigger than yourself. Oxytocin is about connectedness. Acts of charity, doing something nice for other people, having a meal with someone, sharing a meal with a friend even, will give you some oxytocin. And loving kindness, sending out good thoughts to people you know, or even the whole world in general, praying for someone, thinking about someone you love, sending them a bit of love, writing a letter, a card, even sending them a message. And self-compassion, you can give loving kindness to yourself. You can open up, acknowledge your pain, and then comfort yourself like you would a child. Maybe put your hand on where you feel the pain in your body. We'll be looking at that technique in later videos. Serotonin, planning something, anticipating it, and doing it. This is your serotonin cycle, really. Getting the anticipation going, it works off significance and novelty. Tuning into your five senses, having a nice smelling bath oil, or listening to some really nice music, looking at beautiful scenery, being out in the fresh air and the sun and smelling the roses. Tuning into the five senses, the more of your senses you use, the stronger the hit you get. Exploring novelty, new things, something new is happening. Your brain gets a bit of a boost to process this new thing. We talked about being out in the sunlight. Sunlight activates serotonin. Bright light, UV light activates serotonin. Interestingly, when we look at self-care and sleep, we'll be looking at how bright light stops the serotonin turning into melatonin and preventing you from sleeping, which is why you should always be sleeping in a dark room. Significance, this is the thing. When you were a kid, the summer holidays seemed to last forever. It was because everything was new and fresh and full of meaning, and your brain really got activated, got a boost to process this stuff. The more significant the thing is, the more time seems to stand still. Endorphins, cardiovascular exercise is the classic way of generating endorphins. The problem is that the harder we work our muscles, the more they become toned, and the harder we have to work them to get the same hit of endorphins. But going for a run, doing press-ups, squat thrusts, using a punch bag, all of these things can get your endorphins going. Pranayama, diaphragmatic breathing. We will spend more time on this in a later video. The diaphragm's a muscle. The difference is that the diaphragm doesn't become toned. So by putting the diaphragm under a bit of stress, by flexing the diaphragm, you can reliably kick it over to where it stimulates the release of endorphins. Spicy foods, dark chocolate. Again, it's the it's the impact that has on your taste buds. Your body reacts to that because it might need to expel it. So you get some endorphins. Laughing, crying, sobbing your heart out, laughing until you're rolling on the floor. Obviously, you're breathing out all the time. You're flexing your diaphragm when you're doing that. Singing, going to church, singing in the choir. And unfortunately, for those of you who have a more spiritual bent, it is not the power of the Lord, it's endorphins. Chanting in football matches, being part of the crowd, you're getting some oxytocin, and the singing of the songs and the cheering, you're getting the endorphins. Young women, particularly young women who are going to rock concerts and seeing their favorite star on the stage, and they're screaming and they're yelling, they're getting some oxytocin, they're getting the connectedness from the crowd, but they're also getting some endorphins from all that shouting and screaming and singing along. These things can regulate our emotions, and we need to, if things are running too hot, and we can find that we can bring ourselves back to equilibrium by activating our happy chemicals. Now, a bit of warning on this. If we fixate on one thing in our lives, if we fixate on something too much, you can see how it distorts how we view everything else going on in our lives. This can be a double-edged sword. Getting caught up in our problems and our pain can suck the joy out of our lives and make us feel small. Focusing our attention away from things that upset us and turning our mind to something that can improve a lot can help us move towards a more joyful and meaningful life. Word of caution here. Watson's research showed that our brain will try and apply what we did that worked in one situation to an increasing number of other situations that might be a bit like it. Having identified something that works, it's on the lookout for other things it can try that strategy out on, and you become more and more sensitized to things that remind you of the first thing. It's a bit like if all you have is a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail. In the end, more and more things will trigger the feelings that we're trying to control and avoid. And that useful tool that we found becomes a crutch that we can feel anxious without. It's a bit like treading water. If you're out of your depth, treading water can keep you from going under, but it takes energy. Soon enough, you're going to get tired. When the next wave comes, it will take you under. We have to swim for shore. We actually have to do things that will take us towards what matters in life. Otherwise, we're going to get tired and get overwhelmed. The way our brain works means that we feel things before we think about them. Can't stop the feeling for long. It will keep coming back, just like waves. We can decide how we will respond to that feeling and then do something that's going to improve a lot. This isn't about stopping the waves. It's about finding our balance and learning to surf. So, summing up, we might not have caused our problems, but we do have a responsibility to change things for the better. No one can do that for us. There ain't no sanity clause. If you want to think clearly about what's going on and take appropriate action, it's a good idea to reduce the impact of our emotions. This isn't about controlling the emotions, it's about stopping them controlling us. Now, our emotions are regulated by various chemicals in our brains, and we can activate the release of these chemicals by doing certain things. If we fixate on one thing in our life, it starts to distort how we view everything else that's going on. And this can be a double-edged sword. Getting caught up in our problems and our pain can suck the joy from our lives and make us feel small. Focusing our attention away from things that upset us and turning our mind to something that can improve our lot can help us move towards a more joyful and meaningful life. Using the strategies we discussed earlier, we can come back to ourselves and decide how we want to show up and live life as we want to. It's not enough to regain equilibrium. If we just keep doing that, keep regulating our emotions, it can very quickly become a crutch. We actually have to make some changes. If we don't, the same stuff's going to keep showing up again, again, and again. This is my email and my phone number. Please feel free to contact me if you have any thoughts or questions about any of the things we've discussed. Thanks a lot for watching.